Coding UI. So, for those of you that are new, we have been working on building out a contacts application using ASP.NET Core, pretty much the .NET Core framework. If you want to follow along, you can go on Git and check out the repo here. You look at the outline, it kind of covers where we've been and where we're going in the future. Probably today and tomorrow we'll wrap up the API and then look at starting to deploy the API. We started out working on building out the IDEs, then went into building models, business layer, aka service layer, then data, then worked on unit tests, introduced quote unquote poor person's dependency injection. Then we introduced some more unit testing with mocks. Then we built out a separate data layer to start separating it out for later on when we replace the data. Right now we're using SQLite locally, and we'll probably want to move that to something like CosmoDB or Microsoft SQL Server or something else. We then spent a couple of days building out the API. We have get contact, save contact, delete contacts, and so on. Then went and added in some API work, and I should probably refresh this because this page is a bit changed. There we go. We documented the API as well as worked on doing some improvements like adding dependency injection yesterday. Today we're gonna go and kind of wrap up, I think, the API. It might go on till Thursday, but we'll see. If you want to follow along for the app, you can grab the videos here that link to YouTube, as well as the individual pieces of source code that we've been working on. So a quick walkthrough of the application. Let me expand this out, and I think I'll change the font size. Nope, it's at 16. That should be good. We have our domain, which is used just for the business models, phone number, contact address, etc. We then have a separate data model, which is used for the database interactions. We spent a good last couple of days or streams working on the API. Yesterday, as a refresher, we added in these 3 lines of code, which allows us to use dependency injection and inject our services inside of the ASP.NET controller. So let's take a look at our controller for a bit. Here we have the contact manager. We are passing in now just a contact manager instead of 7 different objects. We're now just handling the manager. The repository and data is all constructed for us before. Again, that's through these 3 places here. Later on, you'll see, not later on today, but probably in a couple of days, we're going to replace this with like a SQL Server data store or something to that effect. And all we have to do is change it here. All the code is magically taken care of for us. We added Swagger documentation a couple of days before that, so now we're kind of ready. And where we left off yesterday was when we run the application, which we'll do in a second, we are going to get prompted with a list of all the contacts. That's just the default. We can do any item. We notice the addresses and phone numbers aren't part of this response. And we had a conversation yesterday, or at least I did all the talking, and people were typing about how to go and handle all that. Some people believe you should return everything, some don't. So I went with the only return the minimum, and then we can go and get extras. So today, if you look at, let's say, the details of a contact, I think it was 37 we worked on yesterday. Nope. Oh, because I changed the S. Here you see for Brady, he has one or more phone numbers, but if we go back to the contacts, and we scroll down to 37, we don't see that phone number. And the reason for that is because for the get contacts, which I believe we put in the repository, the get contacts is only returning the root, which is called the contact. For get contact yesterday, we populated all the additional details, including the addresses that belong to him, as well as the phone numbers. So for today, we are going to add in some endpoints. So ideally, we want to do something like, let's see, we had contacts 37. I want to be able to do phones and get a list of all his phone numbers, or phone/1 and get his first phone number, or phone/3, get his second phone number, and do the same thing for addresses. So let's go and start tackling that today for now. So in order for us to do that, we need to build a separate set of data managers to go through that. And they don't have to be totally separate, but we want to keep up with the data store and the objects that it has. So let's go take a look. Right now we get contacts, save contacts, delete contacts. That's it. If we look at our contacts, we have the ability for addresses, phone numbers, etc. Oh, we have to take this out and move it into configuration now. So let's go and see if our interface has anything on it. We just have contacts. So we're going to have to go and add to the repository the ability to get the contacts or get the addresses for an individual person. And you can do that one of two ways. We can go and change this contact repository to add in the additional methods like list, phone, and then get client phones, or get contact phones if we want to be more specific. And then we do int contact ID, and that will get us the ability to get them. We'll need to add something to the data store to match that. So let's do a list of phone and call this get contact phones int contact ID. So now we established the interfaces, and you'll notice here that our projects, now the data and the data SQLite, have red squiggly lines under it, which means that there's a compilation error to it. And there's a compilation error to it because we added a new property here, or a new method that is not implemented. So if we go to it, we can go and manually type this. I can come up here to the red lines and do Alt Enter and get ReSharper or JetBrains Writer to go and implement those. And it's going to by default throw a exception. So let's do get contacts by phone and do contact ID. Even though that method hasn't been implemented before, it because it's part of the implementation, now we actually have to go and implement it. And let's just do that here. Public list phone get contact phones int contact ID. The red squiggly line should go away in a second. Why are you complaining? Get contact phones does not implement contact domain. Data store returns generic collection list of model phones. What did I do? Oh, it's probably this, right? Yeah, it went and killed me because I went and undid all that. Let's go and remove all these. It is complaining because I don't have this. I don't know why it's gone out. Because I took out the using, maybe it's got confused as to who it should be. This should be, there we go. Now I should be good. This one here. And this one there. And I feel like I missed one down below. Oh, it's just turn null just to make sure it's working. And I still got one missed. What did I do wrong? What are you missing? What missing member? Save contact. Where's my save contact? Oh, got the wrong signature. V. And then this needs to map the contacts. Was saved. Oh. There we go. Now we're good to go. My delete contact has an extra one in it. Man, I made that rough for some reason. I don't know why, what I did. And you should be that. There we go. It shouldn't have been that complicated, but we are back working with it. So now I have this. We can go and implement that. And let's do a we want to do a var phones equals underscore contact dot contacts dot phones dot where, then c equals c dot contact c dot, where are you? Where are you? What did I do? We need the phones. Phone dot, where's my type? It should be contact, but we are not showing. Come on, you're killing me. You're killing me. Phones dot where? Phone to phone dot. Why can't I see you? Where's my phone model? Oh, I know why. I know why. I know why. Because there is no foreign key back to this, I believe, right? This has just a list So we have to go back and why are you there? We have to go back and get it from here. Ugh, that's nasty. Let's just make sure from the database standpoint that that's the way it works. There is a contact ID. Why can't I get to it? I should be able to do a reverse to it. Oh well. We can go and take care of it this way. So let's do contacts dot include C. Let's get you out of the way. C dot contact. Oh, this is phones. Dot where C dot contact equals ID. But now we're only getting the contact, so we are going to want to just get the phones from it. Select C dot phones. So let's put this on multiple lines so it's a little bit clearer what we're doing. So we're saying for the phones, essentially contacts, we want to include the phones, then get me a list of all the phones, then select it. So we are going to need to do our mapping var db, that should be db phones, just to be consistent with the rest of us. And this should be phones. And then we should return a mapper dot map. And this should be a SQL Lite. No, this should be a domain dot models dot contact dot phones. Oh, man, my speaking is off today. And then db phones. And this I can just return directly if I want, which I'm not going to do that this second because we might want to debug it to make sure it works. So why did you, oh, this should be a list. List of, there. So now we're returning back a list of phone numbers that go all the way back up. So let's go to our contact manager. And did we add that to the contact manager? I don't think we did. So let's go and add it to the contact manager. And this is going to be a list of phone. Get contact phones and contact ID. And then we have to go and implement that. Public list of domain.contacts. Don't need that here. Get contact phones. And then this is going to return underscore contact repository dot get contact phones dot contact ID. Voila. Now it should propagate all the way up from the data up to the manager business logic layer. Now we have to add unit tests to it. So let's go and add our next fact. So just put in some comments, get contact phones, and then And the first fact is going to be public void get contact phones with valid contact ID should return a list of phones. Excuse me. Then we do our arrange, act, assert. Now for our arrange, did we do dependency injection in here? Oh, we didn't, because we are just using the mocks. Yeah, so let's go and do this here to create a copy of it. And then this should be when we call get contact phones is any, we want this to be an integer, dot is any int, and then we are going to return a list of contacts. And why is that? Oh. What am I missing? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Returns. That's it. All right, you are complaining. I probably have to create a dummy list. Var fake phones. Oh, I put that to list of the wrong thing. This should return a list of phones. And new. Here we go. Ah, power button. Power button should not be next to the delete button. Let's make sure it comes back. And it came back, and it's a good thing I turned around and looked at this screen. My color is off on my camera. Ah, no. Okay, now that we have that here, let us act on it. So we're gonna do var, let's call this phones equals contact manager dot get contact phones, and the int doesn't matter. And then we are going to assert dot not null phones. I think that's all we need to do. We can do count, but we're not creating a count, so that doesn't matter. So let's make sure our code is set up the right way, or at least the way we believe it should be. Then once that passes, which it did right here, you're good to go. Now let's add a new controller for it. So we are going to venture into some new area. We actually, right now, let's just create an endpoint to make sure it works. we can then go and clean it up afterwards by creating its own separate controller. But for now, I think we're gonna put it in the same controller that we have, just to make it easy. Then we'll go out and create a new folder or a new controller for it. So I think we did IDs everywhere. Yep, int ID. And then this should just return underscore contact manager dot get contact phones and the ID. And why are you complaining? Enter. Oh, I keep doing that. So used to working with contacts for the last X number of days. So here comes the tricky part, getting the template right. HTTP get, and then I think we want to do ID / phones, and that should give us everything we need to do. So let's go and restart this boy. Have our fingers crossed that I got everything right. I'm just doing this from the hip. I didn't practice this. And if we look at our contact 437, that should still work. We get his phones, but let's just see a list of his phones. So we should get back the number 28675-309, blank extension, and a phone type of null. So let's see if that works. Missed the mapping. What did I do? Mapping missing, map configuration or unsupported type, list of phone. Oh, okay. I forgot to tell it how to handle. There is a way to do this off the bat with AutoMapper. I forgot what it is. Let's see if I can quickly Google that. AutoMapper list 1. Yeah, I don't think I did anything different. Let's see why it's not working. Did I get the configuration wrong in here? This should come back as a list. So let's just breakpoint and see what we get to. I got a funny feeling I got this. Oh, I know what it is. I probably need to do 2 lists because this comes back as an iQueryable or an iQuery extension. So now if I run it, we should be fine. So let's go back to that. Still failed. Why did you fail? At least it knows it's mapping types list 1 to phone. Error in the mapping types. Var phones, domain phones, DB phones. Why are you failing? Let's go take a look at the code. So here we should be getting back a list. So I'm going to break point here. We'll stop this, debug it, and figure it out. So let's see what we have here. DB phones is a list of phones. Oh, what the hell did I do? That is terrible. Probably because the select already did it. Let's stop you. Let's go here. And debug you again. Come back to this page. And our DB phones is, yes, it's not what I want. System generic list. My query dot select. That's a big mess. Let's see what this is. So we do db phones dot to list. It's not coming out right. I got something wrong with this. Let's stop this and come back and see what I broke. Let's close the others to the right. I closed all tabs. Darn it, didn't want to do that. I reopened the last closed tab. One at a time. That's all the ones I reopened anyway. Let's do this. Any framework, core. Foreign. We don't have foreign key. What do we want? Any framework? Child properties. Let's just do any framework child. Class booking, that has it. JSON serialization. Let's go to the docs and see what the docs have to say. Navigation property, post ID. But why can't I see that? I should be able to see that. No foreign key, single navigation, post. Don't want to do that. Don't need to know about that. That's all in setting it up. I want to be able to query it. Still setting up. What does it call it so I get the right terminology so I can search any framework or select navigation for T. Right, look at that loading related data. Did I do this one? Looks like I looked it up before. Logs that include .to list. Did that. blogs.post that include owner, including multiples. You can chain them up. I don't want to do that. I already did the include part. Include order by, take 5. Blogs.include, blog post. The blog has multiple posts, and we're saying posts. Oh, let's try that. And I'm gonna comment you out for a second. Okay, see, and add in our own. Let's change this to phones because that's what we really want.